Hey guys, welcome to a very different day today. As you know, I had to self-isolate because of a positive case of COVID-19, and so I am just going to teach you through this lesson. I guess it's kind of what I do anyway, so it's not that different, I suppose. um, but yeah, my plan for today was to go over sort of a review of the main ideas from Unit 1. And then I was going to give you guys time to practice a little matching activity. Um, and I figured, okay, well, let's just do this through video. So here are sort of the main ideas from Unit 1. We started off with a timeline, and we looked at um, three different time periods. We looked at the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, and the Enlightenment, right? And we took a look at how during that time period, uh, mercantilism was the economic system of the time, and this was an economic system, excuse me, in which the monarch really had full control over the economy, and he or she would grant authority to a company to go and conduct business in a colony. Right, this was the time of colonialism, colonization, as you learned in Social 10, and that colony would produce natural resources for the company, and the company would give much of its profits to the monarch, right? This was the time of monopolies, where often there'd be just one company that would do all of the business on behalf of the monarch, and there was no open competition, right? There was no competition between different companies at the time. Okay, so that was the time of mercantilism. And as you learned in this unit, people did not like mercantilism, and many people decided to get rid of it and create a new economic system called laissez-faire capitalism, right? Which is something that was used throughout the time of the Industrial Revolution. So during the time of mercantilism, the ideology of the time was feudalism. And as you learned, feudalism came with a pyramid of power, with the monarch at the top, along with his nobles, his aristocracy, and along with the clergy, right, the members of the church, supporting his rule over everybody else, right, the commoners and the peasants. All right, so we know that towards the end of the 1700s, feudalism gave way to liberalism, right? And then liberalism evolved, right, sort of around the time of the World Wars, during the time of the Great Depression. Liberalism had to evolve to become modern liberalism. So now we look back to this first version of liberalism, and we now call it classical liberalism, right? So what was it that instigated this shift from feudalism to classical liberalism? Well, there were some revolutions, such as the American Revolution. Here is the American Revolution, as they rebelled against the British monarch. We see the ideas of the Enlightenment thinkers in the American founding documents, such as the Declaration of Independence. Right. We also had the French Revolution, right, which also transformed France from a feudal society to a society that was based in classical liberalism. So here you have the French and their founding document, the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, which is a prime example of liberalism because it states that all people should be given individual rights and freedoms. Okay, this brought an end to feudalism and monarchy. Okay, and so what we've been talking about lately is the Industrial Revolution, right? So this took place from towards the end of the 1700s throughout the 1800s into the early 1900s, at least in Western society, which is what we study in this course. And so there you have it. During the Industrial Revolution, as you know, Western civilizations embraced classical liberalism. So classical liberalism is an ideology that can be placed on this ideological spectrum. So as you learned in lesson 1, the ideological spectrum has individualism on the right side, collectivism on the left side, and There are principles of individualism as well as principles of collectivism. These are all important to know. You're going to want to spend time reviewing these and making sure that you are familiar with all of them and what they are. And so, as we see, classical liberalism is an ideology that is on the far right side of the spectrum. Okay, so we know that the Enlightenment thinkers contributed very much to this ideology of classical liberalism, and there is debate among historians about whether or not the Haudenosaunee also contributed to liberalism. Right, so make sure you review both the Enlightenment thinkers and the Great Law of Peace from the Haudenosaunee as well. So, what did classical liberalism look like in practice, in real life? So what was life like throughout the 1800s as countries embraced classical liberalism and created liberal democracies? Well, it came with free market economies, right, in which governments allowed businesses to compete with each other, allowed people to have private property as well. It came with laissez-faire capitalism, where the government let the economy run itself without intervening. It also came with constitutions, which guaranteed individual rights and freedoms. However, there are some big asterisks here. As you guys know, that during the time of classical liberalism, these rights and freedoms did not apply to the majority of civilization. Most people were not given the same rights and freedoms as the privileged elite in society, meaning white, male, land-owning, rich people. Okay, this was a time that really prioritized self-reliance, right? As people did not rely on their governments to help them because the government was very limited and gave much freedom to the people, right? So the government did not regulate the workplace during this time period. So there was no minimum wage. There were no safety laws to make sure that people were safe. And there were not very many social programs either, right? So there was no healthcare, definitely no universal healthcare. There were no old age pensions. There was no employment insurance, no social safety nets to help people in times of need coming from the government. This was a time of plutocracy. I can't remember if I taught you guys this term or not, but plutocracy is probably a good description of the government of the Industrial Revolution, right? So this was government that was controlled by the wealthy, controlled by the rich, because only the rich were allowed to vote and only the rich were allowed to become members of the government itself. So with the industrialization, we see a shift from living on farms to working in factories. And as there was much limited government, we see bosses who are regularly abusing their power and exploiting and taking advantage of the workers in their factories, right? So we see people working really long days, and really not getting paid very well. We see that people are working in very dangerous conditions, right? All of these things that you guys remember learning about from lesson 3. It's important to remember those things for your test as well. So I'm going to get you to do a little matching activity to see how much you remember from this unit. So on the left side, we have some statements. Each of these statements fits with at least one. In some cases, it fits with more than one of these principles of collectivism. So in a second here, you can pause the video and you can try to match the numbers with the letters. Okay, so go ahead and press pause now. Okay, so you tried this on your own. Let's go over some answers. So number 1, ending poverty is everyone's duty. We must all contribute our tax dollars to provide shelters, education, and healthcare for those in need. I see that as collective interest. Or no, sorry, collective responsibility. Sorry, it's pretty late as I film this video. So yeah, it's collective responsibility because we are all responsible for the well-being of other people in our communities. Number 2, if teammates compete with each other on the court, it would hurt the team. But if they work together and do what is best for the team, they will win more games. This is about cooperation, right? And how teamwork makes the dream work, right? So it's better to cooperate than to compete, according to number 2. Number 3, under social pressure, we ensure that everyone acts in an acceptable way. So this one is very clearly adherence to social norms. Number 4, excuse me. By building and owning a transit system that is affordable and efficient, the city ensures that everyone is able to travel where they need. Right? So having a transit system is in our collective interest, you could say, and it is in itself public property. So both F and A, I think, would work for that one. Number 5, if there were no regulations on businesses and they were free to do as they wished, they would trash the environment and treat employees unfairly. It's a good thing they must follow laws. Well, that is definitely government intervention, right? Anytime governments regulate businesses and create laws, well, that is a form of intervention where the government intervenes. So try to do these on your own. All right. Now don't just don't just continue listening to the video to get the answers. Instead, actually pause the video and actually try to do it by yourself without hearing the answers. Okay. So try to get the answers for these ones. Press pause now. Welcome back. So let's take a look at the answers. Number 1, knowing that my new clothes will be mine forever encourages me to take care of them and make them last. Well, that is definitely A, private property. Number 2, people are naturally greedy, so we are willing to work hard to earn a profit. In doing so, we're productive and contribute to the economy. Well, that would be self-interest, right? We are greedy, so we work hard, trying to make money for ourselves. Number 3, we don't need any regulations in the economy. Instead, the invisible hand of supply and demand ensures that everyone's needs are met. Also, lower taxes allow hardworking people to keep the money they earned. Here we are talking about limited government, G. 4, knowing that their opponents are always trying to steal their customers encourages businesses to work hard, be productive, and create products and services that people want at a good price. Number 4, we are talking about competition. And 5, when a person worked hard to earn what they had without help from others, they are more proud and grateful, right? So we're talking about self-reliance in this one. Okay, go ahead and pause now. All right, let's see how you did. Number 1, since people cannot be trusted with much personal liberty, all right, that one is Thomas Hobbes, 1E. Number 2, the aim of all political associations is the preservation. Yeah, that one is C. So 2C, that's John Locke. Number 3, the free communication of ideas and opinions is one of the most precious rights of man. So the person who cared most about this would be Voltaire, 3A. 4, the economy will ensure that everyone's needs are met. Okay, that is Adam Smith. Okay, so 4B. Number 5, each person must deny their own self-interest. Instead, do what is in the common good. That would be our boy, J.J. Rousseau. Okay, so 5D. 6, it's the responsibility of each citizen to pay attention to its government's actions and make sure so that is Montesquieu, 6F. And pause the video and do this one. All right, let's see how you did. Number 1, people are born good. That would be, who was that? Rousseau, 1C, Rousseau. Number 2, when one person holds all the political powers. All right, we're talking about Montesquieu, 2A. 3, we need to replace monopolies with free market. Okay, well, that was pretty straightforward. Number 3 is D, Adam Smith. 4, people should have liberty to do absolutely anything they want. We are talking there about the harm principle, right? Should be allowed to do anything that I want as long as I don't hurt other people. Number 4 is John Stuart Mill, 4B. Number 5, when the people no longer support their government, we are talking about John Locke, right? So you must revolt against your government if they no longer have consent of the people. Right on, so 5E. Last one. All right, how did you do? Number 1, citizens give up almost all their personal freedom. So 1 is Thomas Hobbes, 2 is John Locke. 3 is A, J.J. Rousseau. Good. Right on. Okay, so now that you've done this, what you can do is you can go into D2L. Okay, so here's D2L, and you can click on Resources, click on Content, and you can take a look at Unit 1, scroll down, and click on the Unit 1 review. Okay, and then you can make it big and make it so you can see it. There we go. All right, so here's a little reminder that your multiple choice is going to be Tuesday of next week, October 13th. And your source analysis, which is your first written response, is going to be Thursday of next week, October 15th. Here are some questions to help you get ready for those two tests. So you can take a look at these questions, and my recommendation is that you do each question one at a time, and read the question, start writing an answer to the question without looking at your notes. And then once you've written everything that you remember, then look through your notes and see if you have anything missing. And then you can add anything that you were missing to your answer. And then move on to the next question and do the same steps. Okay, and that's a really good way to practice remembering these things. It's good for your brain. So go ahead and do that. And that's definitely going to take you a while. So try to complete that over the week here. I'm going to have some other stuff for you to do when you come to class on Thursday. On Thursday, what are we doing Thursday? I always have to look at D2L to remind me here. Thursday. Oh yeah, so you're going to prep for your Unit 1 source analysis. So I'm probably just going to create another video for that to help you guys out. And then Friday is the review Kahoot. I will see if I can figure out how to get the guest teacher to do the Kahoot so you guys can still do that in class. Okay, so yeah, it should be possible to do everything we are still planning on doing. Even though I'm at home, I'll just teach you from my couch, and that'll be fine. Okay, so anyway, please email me if you have questions. Okay, I am very capable of answering emails. I am not symptomatic. I am very healthy, but I'm forced to be home. So yeah, email me when you guys have questions, and good luck to all of you. See you.